Very good morning, students. L.K. Tripathi is here. Dear children, today we shall discuss about the history. The topic is New Kingdoms after the Guptas. You know very well, you have been explained earlier about other type of dynasties who ruled over the country for many decades. Among them, Gupta was a prominent ruler of the country. Gupta dynasty ruled for a long time in the country, outside the country also. His preaching and his teaching spread up to the Central Asia. So all these facts further we shall study through this new video. The new kingdoms after the Guptas. After the decline of the Gupta Empire, India broke up into a number of small kingdoms. Three kingdoms were the most important among them. Which were they? These were the kingdoms of Thaneshwar under Harshvardhana and the two southern kingdoms of the Chalukyas and the Pallavas or Pahalwas. These three kingdoms emerged after the Gupta dynasty. Next, Pushyabhutish and Harshvardhana. The kingdom of Thaneshwar was founded in the latter half of the 6th century CE by Prabhakar Vardhana. His dynasty came to be known as the Pushyabhuti dynasty. His son Harshvardhana was a powerful ruler who brought together most of the regional kingdoms of North India and founded a unified empire. Military campaigns. In the early 7th century, Sri Harshvardhana became the ruler of Thaneshwar, that is in modern Haryana. He succeeded his brother Rajavardhana soon after acquiring power. Harsha united the kingdoms of Thaneshwar and Kannauj. He made Kannauj his capital. This was done to control the empire in a better way and also to control northwestern borders where the Huns had been posing a threat to the center. Kannauj was relatively safe from foreign invasions. The Gangetic Plain could also be better supervised from here. After shifting his capital, Harshvardhana conquered Punjab, Eastern Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Bengal, and Odisha. Friendly relations were maintained with the rulers of Assam and Vallavi. Harsha did not annex all the territories that he conquered. Some of the defeated kings continued to rule over their kingdoms as subordinate rulers. They accepted Harsha as their overlord and paid him a yearly tribute. During wars, they also
supplied him with money and soldiers. Harsha established diplomatic relations with China. He tried to expand his kingdom beyond the river Narmada in the Deccan. But he was not successful as Pulkeshi II, the Chalukya king of Vatapi or Badami of northern Karnataka stopped him. Harsha is a patron of art. Harsha was a patron of art and writing. He was an accomplished playwright himself. He wrote 3 plays in Sanskrit: Ratnavali, Priyadarshini, and Nagnanda. Banbhatta was a famous scholar in the court of Harsha. He wrote Harsharita and Kadambari. There were other scholars in Harsha's court such as Subandhu, Mayur Bhatta, etc. Harsha patronized the famous Nalanda University, which was set up earlier during the Gupta period. He also gave financial support to this ancient seat of learning. As a result of Harsha's patronage, Nalanda prospered and became a famous center of learning. When Song's account, a Chinese Buddhist scholar, a Chinese Buddhist scholar named Huan Sang visited India in 630 century. Out of the 15 years that he spent in India, Huan Sang stayed for 8 years at the court of Harsha. He also visited the court of the Chalukya king Pulkeshi II. He has left a detailed account of the events of those times. Society. What kind of society was there? According to Huan Sang, people were simple, honest, and hospitable. The rich lived in big, well decorated houses, while the poor had simple mud houses. People lived peacefully. Most people were vegetarian, and the use of onion and garlic was avoided. The caste system was very rigid. People were divided into numerous castes and subcastes. The untouchables were treated badly by the upper caste and had to live outside the city. Traders and craft persons lived in the towns. Marriage and eating outside the caste was prohibited. Sati system was prevalent at that time. There was no well system. Well means parda. But human social status continued to decline. The main occupation of people was agriculture. They grew grains, pulses, fruits, and vegetables. Apart from farmers and peasants, other important groups of craft persons were potters, goldsmiths, blacksmiths, carpenters. These were hereditary and caste based. Administration. What type of administration was there? Harshvardhana's administration was decentralized like that of the Guptas. Local officials had the power to take administrative decisions. The administrative units were similar to those under the Guptas. The whole empire was divided into provinces. The provinces were divided into districts, and the districts were further divided into villages. Each province was under a governor who was given land grants instead of salary in cash. The chief source of income was land revenue. Craft persons too had to pay taxes. Revenue officials were responsible for collecting land revenue at the rate of 1/6 of the produce. The money so collected was used to ensure good administration, maintain the, maintain the army, and give grants and donations. However, trade and commerce did not flourish rapidly. A number of cities declined at the stage. Harsha had a powerful army that included the infantry, cavalry, elephants, and boats. Religion. Before embracing Buddhism, Harsha worshipped Shiva and Surya. He was tolerant towards other religions. He attended the Prayag assembly in which religious discussions and debates were held for many days. At the Prayag assembly, the Buddha, Surya, and Shiva were worshipped. At this assembly, Harsha gave donations to the Brahmins, Buddhists, the needy, and the poor. He also convened the fifth Buddhist council at Kannauj that lasted for 25 days. Thank you. Rest we shall discuss in the next video.